Hello, and welcome to the Bamboo Lab podcast with your host, peak performance coach, Brian Bosley. Are you stuck on the hamster wheel of life, spinning and spinning, but not really moving forward? Are you ready to jump off and soar? Are you finally ready to sculpt your life? If so, you've landed in the right place. This podcast is created and broadcast just for you. All of you strivers, thrivers, and survivors out there. If you'd like to learn more about Brian and the Bamboo Lab, feel free to reach out to explore your true peak level at www.bamboolab3.com.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the show. Today, we have a gentleman on that I had the pleasure of talking to last year. I got to know his wife over the past 3 years. She's been on the podcast twice. We have Josh Passchier on, and he is the co-founder of Uncaged Potential Coaching, founder of Uncaged Brotherhood. He's a men's coach and embodiment leader. For over 30 years, Josh has lived and breathed high performance, first as a tennis professional and personal trainer, then transitioning into the fast-paced world of healthcare startups. And a few years ago, he met Brooke, who has been on episode number 70 and number 115, so please go back and listen to those. And through Brooke, he was introduced to the world of personal development, and it was like a spark had been lit. In 2023, Josh and Brooke founded Uncaged Potential Coaching, and just this year, brand new startup that's going to rock, he launched Uncaged Brotherhood. Josh now dedicates his life to helping men break free from the cages of conditioning and step fully into their power at home, at work, and within themselves. So my friend Josh, welcome to the Bamboo Lab podcast.
Hey, Brian, thank you. I'm excited to be here. Just hearing that little introduction got a little, you hear that and you're like, wow, that's pretty cool what we've done so far.
Dude, you guys are doing some really good stuff. I mean, I get a chance.
Excited.
I was telling Josh before we started recording, I get a chance to, we're friends on social media, so I get a chance to see Josh and Brooke's videos that go out. There's good stuff. There's really good stuff. There's a lot of shit out there that right. I pick up on. I'm like, why are these people doing this? Josh and Brooke are not those ones. These people put out good quality, well thought through, and very impactful content. So I've been doing this for 29 years of coaching, and I learn something every time I pick it up. So I would definitely tune into their stuff, follow them on social media. We'll include some links at the bottom of the show notes today. So please click on and check out their new endeavors that are really doing well. So let's get started. Josh, I've gotten to know you a little bit better over the last year, especially through social media. But can you tell the Bamboo Pack a little bit about yourself? Whatever you want to share, your family, where you're from, who or what inspired you growing up. Let's give a little background of Josh.
Sure. I grew up in basically Grand Rapids, Michigan. I got two brothers and a sister and a loving mom and dad. They are still married. They, I think, are almost getting to their 50th wedding anniversary. I had a great family relationship and dynamic growing up. It was awesome. Sports was always a big thing. You don't know by now, I am pretty competitive. I don't like to lose, and no matter what we're doing, if it's even throwing darts or playing bags with some buddies of mine. But sports was a big thing, and got to I made the tennis team during college as a walk-on, and then from there, I went and taught tennis. So for like 15 years, I was a tennis pro, and I went to where all the wealthy people live so I could charge more money for tennis lessons. And, I really liked leading a group.
Okay.
And, helping them get better at tennis. And I also got into personal training, and, I was able to teach tennis in the Hamptons for a summer. I lived in Greenwich, Connecticut, Rye, New York, New Canaan, Connecticut, Charlottesville, Virginia for about 4 years, and then lived outside Aspen for almost 10 years and got to meet some awesome people from teaching tennis. But I always thought that there was maybe something else I wanted to do. And then I thought that something else was maybe getting quote unquote a big boy job, sitting behind a desk and stop teaching tennis. And so I started working for some healthcare startups And I've worked for about 5 of them, all on the sales side, but it never clicked. It never felt like this was something I really wanted to do. And some of it, I think, was my own limiting beliefs that I wasn't, I didn't go to school for healthcare, but you were still selling. And it was just about building relationships with people. And then really when Brooke and I got together, we've met, we'll be married coming up on 2 years. So we've been together for 3. She really introduced me to personal development. And at first, it honestly was something that I was like, you want me to do what? You want me to write my feelings down on paper? You're freaking nuts. But it was, but that's how she introduced me. She wasn't pushy. It was, here's what I'm doing. If you're interested, take a look at it. And so she was doing thinking into results. I don't know if you're familiar with that, Bob Proctor, thinking into results. And Brooke was like, here's my login information. Take a look and read, and then do the worksheets. Well, I would listen to all of the lessons, and then she'd ask me, are you doing the homework? And I'm like, I don't need to do the homework. I'm listening, right? I'm listening to the session. I don't need to do the homework. Brooke's like, well, that's where the work is. And I never did. But then one time, Brooke got another coach, lady, Kathleen Cameron. And from listening to Brooke's calls with them, I said, okay, I think I'm ready and I want to dive in. So I jumped into another program of hers, and that forced me to actually do the shit, right? That forced me to put stuff on paper, deal with my stuff I had going on, even things I did not know were issues. And I loved it. It was refreshing. But it was also a time where I had to realize it was okay for me to be in a large Zoom meeting with like 50 other women and just me and 2 other guys.
Right.
And so that part of sharing with that group even let me share even more. But I was always used to being in a group of women because of teaching tennis, right? Teaching tennis was always a lot of teaching women because the guys were mostly working all day long. But then what got me going was I saw a real need for guys to have a place to connect and grow. And there's more and more. There's some really awesome coaches out there and some great groups for guys to join. But unless you're looking for it, you probably don't know that they're even available. And so that's why I'm kind of like, we just started Uncaged Brotherhood. We just had our second call. Literally, our second call ended about an hour ago.
Oh, you did? How'd it go?
Good. We got about 10 guys that have committed. And today, we talked about our limiting beliefs. And I want to walk them through a process. I want them to become vulnerable. But I want them to see that vulnerability is not a weakness. Vulnerability is a superpower that men can have that is still masculine. And so last week we discussed their identity. Like, who do they identify themselves as? And really not just, hi, I'm Josh. I have Uncaged Potential Coaching with my wife and do this. It's who do you identify behind the scenes? And who do you want to be? And if you're not that person, well, what steps do you need to take to become that person? And what do you need to do today to start to be that person? Right? Because you can't say, I want to be this person and then say, I'm going to start tomorrow, because tomorrow never comes. It's always today.
Right. Well, do you find it difficult? I love the idea, because when I read your bio, that when you said vulnerability is a superpower, that was a big part of, I underlined that right away. And I thought, right now, I see in the world of performance coaching, a lot of men are starting to become a lot more vulnerable. A lot of men in very high paying or executive positions or powerful positions are starting to realize that all these years they've spent time trying to hide their vulnerability has cost them in a lot of ways, emotionally and mentally, financially, as well as a lot of times physically. And they're now starting to open up a lot more. What are you seeing as a challenge for men to open up on their vulnerability?
Societal norms.
Yeah.
Right?
It's crazy.
So many times that society says men must be strong, loud, can show no emotion, right? But the vulnerability really is a source of strength and courage if you think about it. Because if I need to be vulnerable, first I need to have the courage and strength to be vulnerable.
Well,
so it's more about just opening up, being honest, being authentic in that vulnerability.
You couldn't have stated that better. What I've seen, I honestly, 10 years ago, I would have said you're full of shit. I would have, because I was at maybe 15 years ago. I don't know, probably in my mid 40s. What am I, 58? So probably, 13, 15 years ago. I was still on that journey of, and I was emotional with my children and things like that, and I would show a lot of emotion with my family and friends. But in the business world, I tried to portray myself kind of as an ass. Calling clients out in a really direct, abrupt way. And I remember, Josh, one time when I was a young manager at American Express, we had to do one-on-ones every Friday. I had 30 people, I think, reporting to me. And I remember one Friday I made 3 people cry in the one-on-ones. And one of them was a gentleman, was a guy about my age at the time. I was in my mid to late 20s. And I remember getting kudos in the management meeting that day for having a hat trick. I made 3 people cry. And I thought, and so I was faking who I was for a long time as far as just trying to be this badass of just, super stern. And it was drawn on me, man. And number one, I wasn't making enough the money because I was not being authentic, as you said. Number two, I was draining myself. And then it was just like something clicked in maybe it was my late 30s. I don't know. It was probably sometime after my divorce when I was raising my son, when I was raising Dawson on my own. It probably I realized that I can't be that way with Dawson. So anyway, I started just becoming more authentic and being vulnerable and sharing things with clients and not trying to be Superman. And it's been so much better ever since in every way, financially, physically, emotionally, mentally. So I think what you're on to is something that is desperately needed in our society. It really is, man. It really is.
100% agree. And if you take an average guy and you look at their strongest relationships they have with other guys, it's probably their buddies who they have known since elementary school or junior high or high school, right? Mm-hmm. And what they don't realize is that during that time, they were probably very vulnerable with their buddies. Like they know everything about their buddy that they went to school with. And they probably shared some things. Mm-hmm. So without knowing, they were vulnerable. And that's why it's their best friends.
Right.
And when you try to say, ooh, I got to be vulnerable now. Well, now you just put a different word on it because it's a judging word. Sign of weakness, right? Most people will think. But they have done it without using that word. Does that make sense?
Yeah, 100%.
Like I've become vulnerable in my friendship, but look where that friendship is. It's a great way of it's almost like a gateway to connection, empathy, and growth.
Yeah. Well, I think when people think of vulnerable, they think of a dog that when you walk up to a very submissive dog, it goes on its back and exposes its underbelly. That isn't really the type of vulnerability you talk about. Your vulnerability is a man could metaphorically do that or figuratively do that because that means they trust you, so they're going to be vulnerable with their emotions. But also, vulnerability is a confidence, meaning I can share with you my story, my feelings, and my thoughts, and if you don't like it, I'm confident and strong enough to say, that's okay. When people hide their vulnerability and they hide their emotions and thoughts and their feelings, they're really doing that to avoid judgment. When you do things to avoid judgment and opinions of other people, to me, that's a sign of weakness. It's you're caging yourself, and you guys are uncaged. So, by the way,
absolutely,
that's a perfect name. I've always loved the name Uncaged. When I read Brooke's book 2 years ago, maybe, I don't know, I loved it. And I remember I texted Brooke because I was at my daughter's house in Marquette, and I came downstairs one morning and her book was sitting on my daughter's couch. She was reading it. Maybe it was a year ago. I don't know. It was a while back, but
it's awesome.
It's just a perfect concept. So when you were growing up, Josh, was there any individual that inspired you or any moment or a book or something, an experience?
Well, I wish it was a book, but growing up, I probably read 2 books that were, and it was probably Cliff Notes. But now it's actually gotten much better. I have a goal to read 10 to 20 pages a day. For some people, that may not be a lot, but for some others, that's a real challenge. But were you asking who inspired me or something like that?
Yeah, who or what or
yeah. May sound cliche, but it was my dad. Mm-hmm. Because we didn't have everything growing up. I don't even think I went on a spring break when I was in school because we just didn't have it. And then growing up with tennis, my first tennis lesson was in college, and then I went on to teach tennis, and I think that's why I was able to teach people very simply because I remember what it was like to not have to do that and go through it. It just didn't come easy. But my dad he always did everything with us. Like, we had a boat growing up, so it was a lot of family time. And he would wake us up. We would be renting a cottage for 2 weeks a year for 10 years. And 7 a.m. on Saturday mornings and Sunday mornings, he'd wake us up and we would always be like, oh, we just want to sleep. It's too cold. We're not going. But that was the best time. And he would play tennis with me anytime I asked, he would go out and play. And sometimes that was 5 days a week. And we would love to go play at nighttime in the summer under the lights. He played basketball with us. I mean, I can remember the first time I beat him in basketball. And I can remember the first time I beat him in tennis. And there were always different stages to it. Like basketball, my dad would be like, okay, I'll let the ball bounce a couple times before you get it. And I'll let it bounce once before you get it. But my goal now for my boys is I want to be like that.
Yeah.
Right. I want to make sure that when they have a sporting event, I'm there. When they want to say, hey, Dad, you want to come out and play basketball? Yep. I will be there. I'll drop what I'm doing and let's go play some hoops, or they wanted to play tennis or volleyball. Now I got a kid playing golf. Hey, awesome, buddy. You want to go play golf? Let's go. But building that. So, that was a really big impact, just how he showed up. And maybe I didn't realize it, but when I look back on it, that's the person that I'm trying to be, with my kids too.
I love it. Well, that's our job in life, is to push our kids a little further along than we were, and
100%.
Now, going back to you stating you're competitive still, I have a personal question to ask you. How does that deal? How do you and Brooke deal with that? Because I got to believe she's probably pretty competitive. And I bet she's right there telling you what to say.
No, I kicked her out. I told her she's probably listening in the living room, but kicked her out of the office. Is she a little competitive? Absolutely. But we complement each other very well. She just knows there's certain things that I don't let her win.
Yeah, I love it. So, where'd you go to college?
I went to a smaller Division II school called Ferris State University. It's about an hour north of Grand Rapids.
Oh, you're a bulldog. You're a bulldog.
Yes. Yep.
For some reason, I thought that. I don't know where I picked that up on, but I thought that. I don't know if I read it maybe on Facebook or something. I thought you went to Ferris State.
And I absolutely loved it. But I was in a program called Professional Tennis Management. So my degree was marketing with an emphasis in professional tennis management, PTM. So basically it was a program to teach you how to run a tennis program.
I like that. I've never, well, I shouldn't say I've never. I played tennis as a kid with my friend Sean. We'd go to the tennis courts in my little hometown and just play maybe 25 times, over the course of 2 summers. But that is a hell of a workout.
It can be good.
Is it?
I do love it. But I would actually, now that I know what I'm doing, now that I have an understanding of the strategy of doubles, I would play doubles over singles all day long. But just because I like playing the net now, but that even took a while. Before it would just be like, I just want to play singles and bang the ball on the baseline.
Are you at a stage now where you're playing pickleball yet, or is that a completely different thing?
Played my first pickleball tournament about a month ago.
How was that?
I played with a friend of mine who actually worked with me and taught tennis with me for a couple of years. We ended up both being back in Grand Rapids, so I was like, "Hey, let's go play." And I think I might have played a handful of times of pickleball. So with our tennis background, hey, we didn't do too bad. I think we made it to the quarterfinals, and I think we lost to the guys that actually won.
Oh.
But the fun story, we were down 9-0 to some guys, and I was like, Evan, we can't lose 11-0. Like, this is ridiculous. Well, guess what happened?
You won.
Not 11-9.
You won 11-9?
We won 11-9.
Wow.
But the whole time I just kept telling Evan, dude, 1 point. We just need 1 point. We just need 1 point. Just 1 point. Where he was kind of like, oh my God, dude, we have such a hill to climb. And it's like, hey, one at a time, buddy. And there it was.
No, don't call it a comeback. We've been there before.
Exactly. The guys left going, what the heck just happened?
They let their guard down a little bit.
Yeah, we're like, ooh, you opened that door and we kicked it in.
I love it. So you've been on this journey of like personal development for 2-3 years or so. What would you say in that time frame has been your greatest learning?
Oh. Well, number one, we've talked about already, vulnerability is key.
Mm-hmm.
And not to be afraid of what I'm going to uncover. And journaling through that stuff has really helped. And not that I have a lot of shit to go through,
sure,
right? But everybody's got something. And I think a lot of times, men especially, don't even want to grow, quote unquote, grow, because they just don't want to have to deal with that stuff or realize maybe what they're doing isn't the best, or that, hey, they had a bad experience, but why? And they don't want to address it. So the biggest thing that I'm learning is everybody goes through it and everybody's got a story. Mm. But I may not understand their story, but I can't be judging for what I'm seeing because I'm only seeing what's going on the outside. There could be a lot of other stuff.
And there usually is. And that's one of the things that I have seen the last 3 years of the podcast is people that are friends of mine or just acquaintances or somebody I don't even really know, obviously most of them are, everybody has a story. I don't care who you are. Everybody has an incredible story with a lot of wisdom to share. Everyone. Mm-hmm. And we look at people, don't you think, Josh, we look at people, we're walking through, let's go Walmart. That's always probably the most extreme example. You're walking through Walmart and you see maybe 75 people when you're walking through the store, maybe 100 people, and you really see them on a two-dimensional level, up, down, and sideways. But if you peer into them, and I mean figuratively or literally where you sit and talk with them, 99.9% of those people can teach you something, if not 100%, can teach you something that you don't know that is necessary for your life.
Absolutely.
I love what you guys are doing with this Uncaged.
Yeah, it has been fun. Another thing that I learned over the last year, and I deal with this daily, is what has prevented me or Brooke and other people is a 4-letter word: fear. Mm-hmm. And it's like, why do I not do something, could be a dream or whatever I want to do, based off of how somebody else is going to react? But in reality, they may not even react. It's just a fear that I have. I don't want to be judged. I don't want to fail, right? But shit, what happens if I actually did it and I succeeded?
Right.
And sometimes that's a real fear of somebody's too.
I heard a quote the other day, and I don't know where it was, and I'm trying to think. I think it was in a movie I was watching, and I wrote it down. It was somebody said, well, what if I fail? And the other person says, well, what if you don't? And it was that simple little statement. I was talking to a guy yesterday. His name is Chuck Wackendorfer. He's been on the show twice, and he's been in the executive world for 20 some years with American Express. And he was with Think to Perform as a consultant for a number of years. And he just started his own consulting firm. And he's in his early 60s. This guy's a wizard. He's just amazing. But he said, we were talking yesterday, I think, and he said the two questions you have to ask yourself at any given time is, as he calls the acid test, is, am I able to do what it takes to get me what I want in life? So able, and the second question is, am I willing to do what it takes to get me what I want in life? So the two questions, am I able and am I willing? And it's the able part. People can say, yeah, I think I'm able, but am I willing is sometimes where that fear comes into play that you talked about. And
Absolutely.
And to think about it, Josh, most of our fears are completely irrational.
They're self-imposed.
They are. They're so self-imposed. I don't know if you've ever heard this, and I don't even know if it's true. I've read it in a number of different studies, but it's been refuted at times, where we are born as human beings with two fears: the fear of falling and the fear of loud noises. So we have those innately when we come out of the womb. And just about every other fear that we have are socialized into us, or they're based on our own experiences, our own thoughts and feelings, or the social society has said, like spiders and snakes. And obviously some of those, they're primal because people were killed by spiders and snakes in the past. But the majority of our fears are just completely bullshit. I mean, raising your hand and asking somebody on a date, speaking in public. I mean, going into a store. Some people I coach are afraid to go into certain stores. They just don't like to go into stores. They have a fear about going into Costco or something. I'm like, well, guess what you're doing this week? You're going into Costco. It's just funny though. And we all have those little petty little irrational fears. We all have tons of them.
Oh, absolutely.
Do you think so let's say I have a fear of public speaking. Let's just say, that's obviously a very common one. If I have that fear, do you feel like me becoming a part of Uncaged Brotherhood and starting to work through my emotions, exposing myself, being more authentic, being more vulnerable with my thoughts and my feelings and my experiences, do you think that has a direct tie into me overcoming my fears, whatever they might be?
100%.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Because if you can share your fears with a group of guys, you can do anything, right? What is, we don't think about it very often, but sharing your feelings with guys that you may not know that's on a Zoom, because we do everything over Zoom, that can be pretty intimidating. But it's going to help us. So today, actually, what we discussed today was I had him go through, I don't know if you've ever done that exercise, Wheel of Life.
It sounds familiar.
Where you have 4 or 8 different categories, and you're supposed to rate it, and it's in a circle. And then the lowest rated area in your life is probably the one that you need to focus on more. And what we talked about today is also the one that has your lowest standard. And when I found that out, I was like, wait a minute, I don't have a low standard in my life. And Brooke and I were talking about that. And she's like, well, you do, because if that wasn't a low standard, you would have it rated higher. And so I was like, oh, shit. that wasn't, I mean, I probably fought her for an hour on that. I'm like, nope. But he thought about it. So we went through that with the guys today. And then I asked them all, I said, give me a goal that we can use this group as to be accountable. And some of them were, hey, I need to be better fitness. I'm on heart medication or high blood pressure medication. Others were like, I want to go into a business and start my own business. And that's scary to say. But now what we did today was, hey, we put our fears out in front of the group, and now we have accountability. But if we don't meet those goals that we just established with the group, it's okay. I just have to reevaluate, because one of the guys actually put a goal in, and I thought it was a safe goal. And I asked him, well, why did you have this goal? Why is it not larger? Well, I want to make sure I meet that goal. Okay. But like you said, what if we set a larger goal? If you don't meet that, it doesn't mean you failed. You just got to keep working at it. So I think sometimes when we establish a goal, we establish attainable goals, which, yes, people say you want to have attainable goals, right? But I also want to make sure I'm pushing myself to maybe go after something I thought wasn't possible. Again, a limiting belief.
That's interesting. I just pulled this up, a Wheel of Life. So I'm going to take this when we're done today. Or I'll probably take it tonight or tomorrow, actually. I pulled it up. I think it's the right one. It's got 10 areas.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. This is powered by Numi. So anybody get on there, just click Wheel of Life assessment, or you'll come right up, and it's a free assessment, it looks like, on here. So,
yep. Yeah. 100%. And you just go through it, highlight, or you mark where you think you are, where you feel you are in each of those categories. And then the category that is the lowest rating that you gave yourself is going to be the category you probably need to work on the most. But it's also going to be the category you don't want to work on the most.
That's interesting. I'm looking at it right now. You could take it in like a minute.
Yeah, it's super simple.
I might cheat on it, though. Just give myself 10s and everything.
You're perfect, Brian. You're perfect.
How's that for vulnerability?
We need to work on that.
I better join Uncaged Brotherhood.
Exactly.
Personal question for you. So this is a question a lot of the guests like to hear, or sorry, a lot of the audience likes to hear. And you go with this is where you want to, Josh. This is, go as deep as you want. What is one of the more difficult things you've ever gone through in your life? And then what did you use, or what did you do to kind of overcome and break through that brick wall, so to speak?
I'm going to give two examples. One of the hardest things I went through was my divorce. Mm-hmm. Been divorced now for going almost 6 years. That was tough. And it wasn't tough that I was having a failed marriage. What was tough was knowing that the kids weren't going to have me around 100% of the time. And also that I wasn't going to be able to see my kids 100% of the time. Mm. I think the biggest thing that helped me through it was knowing that everything was going to be okay. There's a bunch of other kids that have divorced parents. They're going to be fine. And I just had to trust and show up as the dad I wanted to, so that they were really excited to come to Dad's house.
Yeah.
And make it a safe spot. I mean, dude, I remember the first few times that we went out for dinner, just the four of us. And I felt like everyone was just looking at us going, oh, that guy must be divorced. That's why he's with his kids by himself. Now, I don't even think about it, right? I mean, we just got used to the idea, and it's okay. But that was one of the hardest things. The other one is just really taking a leap of faith in starting the Uncaged Potential Coaching. Mm-hmm. And that was, Brooke was ready. She's been in coaching. It was something new to me. And finally, we just, we were trying to grow a business while still working our other jobs. And, you put in you're going to get out what you put in, right? And we just said we need to jump in, and we both quit corporate jobs to start our own. And that was probably, we're still learning, but now we have a good groove. We have coaches that are helping us do other things and help grow our business. And let's get some processes in place and all this stuff. So that was the hardest thing, but we're also, Brooke and I, doing so much growth because now we're in this space, but we're also growing together at the same time. I mean, we literally sit side by side in our office every single day. It's a good thing that we like each other.
Wow. Well, Brooke's pretty quiet, though.
You must be thinking of the wrong Brooke.
Oh, yeah. Wrong past guest I had. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. You guys both have a pretty matched energy, it seems like. When you and I and Brooke were on the phone sometime last year, we spent some time on the phone together discussing some things, and I'm thinking this is a good match. You can tell it's a good match. And the cool thing is you guys have a blended family, and that's and obviously that's so much more common today. I've done it with obviously in my marriage 20 years ago. And it's kind of a thing of beauty in a lot of ways, especially as we're older. If I was doing it in my 30s, I probably, and I don't even know how old you and Brooke are, so I know I'm 58. So as I've gotten older, to be able to, I'm dating an amazing woman, Jackie, right now. I've met her daughter and son-in-law and her grandson. I've not met her son and his girlfriend yet because they live in Denver. But it's really interesting to meet these when you love somebody to meet their children, because it really a lot of times it's kind of an indication of the person they are, how their children turn out or how they're turning out. But it's interesting to be able to have some type of impact and influence on someone that maybe a year ago or 2 years ago or 3 years ago you didn't even know they existed. And even though they're adult children, a lot of them are, you get to have an impact on them, and be a role model for them, even from a distance or directly or indirectly. You get to be a role model for someone. I think it's pretty cool.
Absolutely. Yeah. So we have a blended family of 7. So Brooke has 2 kids. I got 3. And when we started dating, I was, her kids are kind of out of the house. She's got a 22 and 20-year-old. One lives in, one's graduated, lives in Detroit. And then her daughter is a sophomore at Michigan State. And then I was like, are you sure you want to be with someone that's got younger kids? Like you could be an empty nester. And my youngest at the time is, 9.
Right.
Are you sure? But, the biggest, such an awesome thing is the relationships there are growing. And the relationships with her kids for me are growing. And the relationships she has with my kids are growing. But the thing that one of the hardest things we had to do was realize that relationship may not grow as fast as maybe what we want.
Right.
But you don't want to force it, and that's okay. It's okay that they might not say, I love you right away. But now, we're into it almost 2 years. And now the kids are saying, love you, Brooke. Love you, Brooke. It just took time, right?
Sure.
But you know how we all are. We want immediate results, and we want all one big happy family. Dude, it takes time. And I think that probably one of the best things that has occurred during our marriage now is that her daughter asked me to go to Father's Weekend for her sorority.
Yep. That's good stuff. That'll put goosebumps down your spine.
I loved it. Oh yeah, it was the best.
Well, when you're an adult and in this case a mixed family, the relationship only develops as quickly as the child wants it to. That's all it does, and that's the best rule. Is just let the child, you give them the best you can give them and let them lead the relationship development from there, at least the timing of it. And I think that's the best advice I ever got. And I've got 3 amazing bonus sons. And now between those 3, I've got 2 grandchildren and another one coming. And those little kids call me grandpa, I never pushed it. Like, hey, I'm not your dad. Yeah. I'm going to be the best role model. I'll be a bonus dad to you. And I'll love you and I'll treat you just like a biological child though. And you'll get the best of me, but you'll also get the repercussions, the things and it worked out. It doesn't always work out though, but I think a lot of times it's when the parent tries to push it. I think that's a lot of it.
Oh, absolutely. Because the parent wants it right away, right? We're the adult, we want it right away, but you have to be willing to take your time and let the kid come around. Because look, you try to force something on somebody, they're just going to push it away.
Yeah.
So we have to, just let it be and let it grow. And that's probably one of the best things that so far it's been going well. And it's really great when we have all 5 kids together. Like even the oldest, who's 22, and the youngest, the conversations they have around sports, it's amazing. Like the 10-year-old is keeping right up with the 22-year-old and sometimes proving a 22-year-old wrong. Yeah. It's so funny. Well, so just the relationship they all have is really good too.
Well, it's when somebody said this, and I was listening to Joe Rogan. I think it was Dave Chappelle said this. When you have children, when you introduce new children into your life, it doesn't divide your love. It increases your capacity to love. And 100%. I love that because like when you have a step sibling or a bonus sibling or whatever, the term might be, it gives you one more person that you can love and one more person who can love you in the world. And that's a gift, man. That's a beautiful gift.
That's what we said. It's like Brooke is a bonus mom. It's one more person. And I even a couple months ago, my ex-wife is dating somebody and him and I met and sat down and he was asking, even asking questions like, do you mind if I do this? And I said, man, I'm not intimidated by you. Meaning it's not saying I'm intimidated physically.
Right.
I was saying I'm not intimidated by you in terms of you taking my relationship away from my kids. I see you as an extra person who's there that can love on my kids, help instill good values in my boys, and maybe show them something that I'm not familiar with and you are. And I even told him, look, he's a really big hunter, and Brooks' family's big hunters, got property up north. I've been hunting the last couple of years with him. I love it. But I told that guy, look, if we could all go hunting together, the 4 of us or 5 of us, that'd be awesome. I would welcome that. Right. And he was like, oh my God, are you serious? You would like that? Well, why not? If we can do something together, show the kids that we can all get along, how powerful is that?
There's nothing better for those children's development as well.
100%.
You know where I was this Thanksgiving, Josh, this past Thanksgiving? I went down to Dawson, my son, he goes to Northern Michigan. He's 22. He and I went down to Grand Rapids to spend the weekend with my bonus sons. 2 of them live in Grand Rapids. This is my ex-wife's boys. They're in their 30s. They're all in their 30s now. And then the middle child, my middle bonus son, and his wife were coming home from Lake Tahoe for a week with their new baby, 6 months old, Ollie. And so Dawson and I spent Thanksgiving week with my oldest bonus son and his wife and my granddaughter Mila in Grand Rapids. And so for Thanksgiving, we all went over to my ex-wife's ex-husband. So my bonus boy's biological dad. We were there for Thanksgiving, and he and I have been close for 20 years, but so I got there. There's probably 30 people in the house, and mostly his family, his new wife's family and kids. And I introduced myself to people I didn't know yet, and his sister and brother-in-law were there, and his niece. So it's like, this is my bonus children's family. And so he goes, Brian, grab a drink. Scott did, the father, my bonus son's father. We go on the basement. He looks at me. We toasted. He goes, this shouldn't work, should it? I said, no. He goes, why has it always worked? I said, I don't know. It just has. He goes, nobody can believe this, that you're here for Thanksgiving and you and I have a relationship, and it's always been that way. And the next day I was over at my ex-sister-in-law's house in Grand Rapids for the day after, for a second Thanksgiving with my bonus son. So that's the way it should be. It really should be that way. So kudos to you guys.
Yeah.
I got a question. So I'm this guy, and I'm a man in the audience right now, and I'm a very masculine man. I feel that masculinity is kind of my go-to thing, and I look at this vulnerability as no way in hell I'm going to do that. I maybe I even know what you're saying is true, but I don't feel comfortable being vulnerable. What's a piece of advice you would give that person?
The first thing I would talk about is let's step out of the fear. Mm. You want to be very manly. Then let's identify what's preventing you from thinking that vulnerability is weakness, and it's going to be fear. So let's dive into what that is. And I would talk about, hey, if we can create a group, a community and brotherhood that has high value conversations that will help with accountability and growth, even some leadership and confidence building. Would you want to do that? I would hope somebody says yes. And then say, but you have to be vulnerable, meaning you have to share. That's where you would get some guys that say, I don't know about that. Right? But it's the outcome. If we can show you how to be a better husband, a better father, a better friend, a better colleague, wouldn't you want that? And it's just really understanding what that means. Too many times I think vulnerability says I have to be weak. No, I'm being vulnerable with you right now. I'm just talking about you. It doesn't seem weak. I'm confident in the vulnerability. I'm confident in who I am. Somebody's saying, oh, you're full of shit. Well, is that going to affect me? No, I don't let it affect me. Right. So they have to just be able to want to improve. And then you got to ask questions to that guy, like, where Have you seen growth? Where have you seen growth? What are you afraid of? And just that question alone can open up the conversation.
I love that. And I really think that what you just said kind of spawned something in my thoughts. If you can't be vulnerable, you can't be authentic, because the authentic self has vulnerabilities to it. And if you can't be authentic in your relationships or even with yourself, then how are you authentic in your craft? Whatever you do for a living, for work, how do you truly give the best that you have when you aren't really being authentic? There's a really good, have you ever read the book, The Fountainhead by Ayn Rand?
I have not.
Oh man, it's for years it was my number one favorite book. It's in the top 5 now. It was written in the early 1950s, I believe, or 40s maybe. It's about an architect who refuses to give up his style, his values, his purpose in life for money or for fame. And so it's kind of an indictment on society, really. The book is. It's like an 800-page book. It takes a while. It takes a lot to read it. But there's a scene in there where the architect, his name is Howard Rourke, and he's probably my top 5 most impactful fictional character of anything I've ever read or seen on the silver screen. And he's watching this building go up that he should have gotten, but because the politics didn't want him to build a building because he wouldn't succumb to their viewpoints of what a building should look like, so they gave it to a really kind of a hacky architect. And he's watching it go up, and this critic who actually tore him down and tried to destroy him walked up to him on the site and said, "That building should have been yours, Mr. Rourke." He said, "And it's not because of me. I destroyed you." He goes, "We're alone. Tell me now, Mr. Rourke, what you think of me." And the character Howard Rourke looks at him and says, "But that's the problem. I don't think of you." And it just shuts. It's one of those scenes in a movie where you just get goosebumps. And that to me is an authentic man. That's an authentic, vulnerable man. And I think vulnerability isn't just showing emotions. It's expressing yourself in your work. It's expressing yourself in your family. It's expressing yourself in your personal life. It's doing kind of the things that you do that maybe you think other people won't like the way you do it, but you're okay being vulnerable and exposing yourself out there, because that takes courage and that takes balls.
100%. And it's also sometimes the words I will use instead of vulnerability with some guys is the term grounded masculinity.
Grounded masculinity.
And that really means what is just being rooted, stable, and authentic, because they need to be grounded in who they are, right? It allows men really to navigate their life with confidence, strength, compassion, but they have to be willing to understand and kind of embody this grounded masculinity, because it really helps them improve their relationships. Just what you said, make more conscious decisions and foster a really deeper sense of self. And it's all about that. Grounded masculinity is just being fully present in the moment, attentive and engaged. Mm-hmm. Like God gave us 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason. We got to use them proportionately, right?
Do you feel like sometimes, and I'm not judging on this, and it's not me, but I see this now that as you are now really going out there and reaching out to men and helping them to become their true selves. I now, over the last probably 10 years, I've noticed when I'm with somebody who is really hiding that vulnerability, they're cloaking it with this masculinity type thing. And when I look at them, I almost feel, and I don't want to use the word pity, because that comes with some that to me is I feel more of a, what's in there? Like, what are you trying to hide, and why? Because all this wasted energy we use to try to hide, the things that we truly feel, the way we truly want to exhibit ourselves to the world. We hide that, and that takes a lot of energy that, quite frankly, I don't have anymore.
Right.
Right. And it's a sad thing, and it's really good that people like you are out there kind of uncovering this for men, because it's so crucial. But I have to tell you, there's a big market for it, because like I said, so many people over the last, I'm going to say 18 months, maybe longer, maybe a little bit shorter, I've had so many more conversations with leaders on the power of vulnerability. And they always fight it a little bit, but
Oh yeah.
10 years ago, 15 years ago, it wouldn't even be a conversation. Now it's like they fight it a little bit, but they said, well, tell me a little bit more about what that looks like. Because they think of vulnerability coming into the office and crying about something that happened on the weekends. No, that's not vulnerability. That's not.
They do. They do. They see vulnerability as somebody who's over there crying and in a fetal position in the corner of the room.
Exactly. And what do you see it as? So here's the deal. You just painted a very good visual picture of how a lot of men see vulnerability of a person in the corner crying in the fetal position. If you had to paint the opposite picture of that, what does that look like physically how would you describe physically a person who is truly vulnerable and authentic?
I'm going to go back. If I see somebody who is not willing to do that, I told you I was competitive.
Mm-hmm.
I see that as a challenge. And I'm like, all right, I'm going to talk to this guy and find out why. Hey, he may come around, he may not. It's totally on him. There's no right, there's no wrong. But I see that, okay, I want to start challenging him to see this, and let's ask him certain questions. What was your second part of the question?
Like when you said that how most men paint vulnerability, it's kind of the visual is the person in the corner in the fetal position crying. What is the actual physical depiction of a person who truly is vulnerable and authentic in themselves?
Do you have one guy that you can call and talk to?
Yes.
That's my guy.
All right.
That's the guy who has always been vulnerable. He's there. Everybody has that person, right? Everybody has a guy that knows if I get in trouble, I can call this guy. If I need help, I can call this guy. If I need to just talk to somebody and have them listen, I can talk to this guy. And why? It's probably because that guy is someone that you feel safe to be vulnerable with without even knowing. And that guy is a good listener. So what is that guy? He's vulnerable. He's there to listen. He's not judging. So you feel safe. So a guy that is vulnerable is the guy that you see and you totally trust. You're like, that guy most of the time is probably in a pretty good mood. I like being around him. He's relatable. He doesn't judge me because that guy is just sitting there and he's vulnerable. Because to me, being vulnerable is just being open and being really who you are. It has nothing to do with like crying, being weak, all that stuff. It's, hey, here's who I am. Come join me. Because it's a lot better to be kind of open than being so closed off.
And what you just said was I liked how you painted that, because I thought of like three men right away. Actually, then a fourth one came to mind as you were talking. And when I think of those men, I think of strong, very strong.
Yeah.
And because I wouldn't go to them if they weren't. If somebody wasn't open to, I'm going to them because I need them at that moment. I don't want to go to somebody who's weak, but I'm also going to them because they are in fact vulnerable and they're authentic and they care and they can get emotional. I have a really good friend who's 6'4", 300-pound ex-college football lineman, defensive lineman. And we have had we've known each other for 29 years. In fact, I think that when Michigan won the national championship was last year, and that was our 28th year anniversary of being friends. So now it's been 29 years. And we're both big diehard Michigan fans. So I know it doesn't suit a lot of people, especially when one of the kids is going to Michigan State. But but we were talking about that, and we could not count on both of our hands how many times he and I have held each other and cried in 29 years. We both went through a divorce together, both fought for custody. We both were friends as he went through a divorce. I went through a divorce, fought for custody of our kids together. He was in my wedding when I got married. We've just, went in for years. He'd call, I'd call, and we might not talk for 6 months. But then when you need somebody and that phone rings, one of us is answering. So,
and that could be, it really could be another definition of vulnerability, is being strong.
Yeah. I don't,
and
you can't be strong without being vulnerable. I don't think you can.
100%. No, you can't. And just think but the thing too, which is so crazy, is each person can have a different definition of a word.
Yeah.
right? If I look at somebody who is strong, somebody could just say, oh, that guy, he could bench whatever, 225, 20 times, and he's squatting 600 pounds. That's a strong guy.
Yeah.
Or a definition, what you just described with your buddies, he's strong, but he's there for somebody to listen. He was there being supportive. That's a strong dude too.
Yeah. Well, physical strength dies when you get older. Emotional strength gets stronger when you get older. If you build it
100%. I'm in denial of that. I go to the gym every morning, and I keep thinking I'm 48 in a couple of weeks here. I still think I'm 20, but my back reminds me that I'm not.
Hey, Josh, your 50s is your best decade. I promise you.
I'll take that.
It is.
I can't wait.
And when I hit 60, I'm going to say 60s are my best decade. I've loved every decade I've lived in, man. Because, if you take care of your body and your mind, you only get stronger. I mean, your body is, of course, the capacity of your body will decrease. I'll never bench, but I've never run as fast as I used to. I'll never do that. But if you just maintain and have a strong, healthy body, that's okay. Because I'm not playing professional sports. I'm not making money off my body. As long as I'm in a very healthy, I'm in the best shape I can be at my age. But then if you work your mind just keeps getting stronger. And I don't think, somebody asked me how long I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing. I said, I don't know, 80. Because I don't think in this field, and I believe this, you don't hit your peak in the consulting world until you're in your 70s. I think early 70s is when you really hit your peak. And because you just got so much, because after a while, you just stop caring about what people think of how you do it. You just give the best damn service you can to your clients. And we're in a very unique position. You and I and Brooke are, and so many people I've had on the podcast and so many of my friends who are in consulting and coaching, is that the stuff we teach our clients, we can also use ourselves.
Oh,
so
100%.
You're getting better at your job as you're teaching clients, and you're using the same, and you're learning from them at the same time, where a lot of fields aren't that way. Like you do a job, like if I'm a CPA, God loves CPAs, and we need them. They're very beneficial, but you're not necessarily getting better. You're not improving yourself by doing somebody else's taxes. You're getting better at your craft, but when you do our job, you're also learning and implementing it yourself. So you're kind of growing with your clients, which is so rare and so cool.
100%. And that's part of another reason why I wanted to start Uncaged Brotherhood, the men's group, because it also allows me to continue my growth. And I told the guys from day one, last week, which was day one, that I don't know everything. I'm not the expert, but what I'm doing is I'm the one putting my foot forward, taking the freaking chance, being out there, being vulnerable, because I still want to grow, and I'm going to be growing with them side by side.
Yeah.
And let's do this together, because the group is only as strong as the men that are in it.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to make sure we include a link to the Uncaged Brotherhood on the podcast here, the show notes. So, as well as, Uncaged Potential Coaching too. So, I have a question for you. So I have a time machine, metaphorically. I'm going to come down to GR, and we're going to jump in it this afternoon, and we're going to fly off to some stage in your early development of your life. I don't care if it could be from 5 to 35, but some earlier stage of your life. And you're going to sit down on the park bench and talk to the young version of Josh. What would you say to your young self? What words of wisdom, recipes for success, or advice would you give yourself?
I would go talk to the 7th grader and tell him, stop being afraid of everyone else. Stop being afraid of judgment and go do what you want, because really those people probably aren't even thinking about what you're thinking of, how you think they're judging you, and go do what you want to do, and don't let that stop you.
So I just want to repeat what Josh just said, because I think that's the best advice you can give anybody, regardless of age, is stop being afraid of everyone else, stop being afraid of judgment, and go out there and do what you want to do. And that is what he's talking about with authenticity and vulnerability and true strength. Because right there, if you're not afraid of other people, and you're not afraid of other people's judgments, and you're living the life you want to live on your own terms, that is the epitome of strength. And anything other than that is you're kind of going down that spectrum toward weakness. So right there, he just proved that vulnerability and authenticity is strength. Because I think that when I look at not being afraid of other people's judgments or other people's or other thoughts and living life under my own terms, I think that's truly being vulnerable. You're putting yourself out there. You're putting yourself out there for ridicule and judgment and people trying to tear you down. And if you do it anyway, holy shit, that's vulnerability and that's strength.
100. And if you are being judged or somebody's judging you or makes a nasty comment or whatever, or puts you down or says you can't do that, it comes down to really they're not judging you, they're judging themselves.
Amen.
You know, they don't have the will or the guts or the passion to go after something. So they're judging you because they know they wouldn't want to do it.
I couldn't agree more. Have you seen the book Let Them by Mel Robbins?
I just read it.
Did you read it? Did you like it?
Yeah.
It's a good book.
I read the whole thing. Yeah. And I say it all, Brooke and I will say that all the time. We just got to let them.
That's what Jackie and I say.
Let them and then let me.
Yeah. Let them and let me. I mean, so everybody out there, that's a book I'd recommend. It's a green book. It's every bookstore you go into. It's right there when you walk in. It's a bestseller right now. Mel Robbins, Let Them. Fantastic book. I'm only about a third the way through it. Jackie and I are reading it together. And that's something we say, like when somebody cuts me off in traffic, I'm like, God damn it. She'll say, let them. Let them. Like, all right. Now you're really throwing it back in my face now, aren't you?
Exactly. You're like, oh, okay. Let them and then I'll let me. Okay.
Yeah. It is a great book though. And I like her stuff because I think she could write her books in about a third of the time that it takes her to write the books, but she does do a good, because they're very simple. The 5-second rule, the high five mirror thing. And there's so many good things that let them, they're so simple, but yet I do like how she gives a lot of examples and stories. So she does draw her books out, but I think they're well worth it. I mean, they're good stuff. So what's next for you, my friend?
Oh man,
you got a lot of stuff going.
There's so much. I mean, we are growing the Uncaged Potential Coaching. That's where Brooke focuses on. We really focus on real estate agents who have kind of hit a plateau, and a lot of times that could be they hit a plateau in their own beliefs. And so Brooke is working with them. We're growing that, and it's growing Uncaged Brotherhood. I mean, I really see this as a group of guys that are going to come together, and we can even do excursions or weekend trips. I see myself someday being on stage with a bunch of other male coaches, and we're just trying to get there. And then you and I talked about it earlier. We got to get this podcast started. And of course, that's going to be called Uncaged as well. And I think we just got this whole thing going, and it's just really just coming together with Brooke and I and just letting people let people see who we really are.
Yeah.
Because we don't know everything, but we're the ones that are just trying to do the best we can with what we have and just share it with everybody else.
Well, you're doing really necessary work. You both are. And to pinpoint this Uncaged Brotherhood journey, I think that's just, I'm so glad because like I said, I've seen it. It's necessary. It's becoming more prevalent in today's society with executives or anyone out there. I see it in the executive world a lot where they're noticing the necessity of that. Probably because of these young generations coming in are kind of expecting that a little bit more. They're a little more in touch with their emotions than our generation or previous generations. Sure. So I think it's a very powerful untapped niche that you guys are going to rock.
Thank you.
Yeah. But that podcast,
we're excited.
Hey, I do remember you guys, when I talked to you guys on the phone last year, you did say I would be one of your guests on your podcast. So
absolutely.
Well, you better. I've had you guys on 3 times. I've had the Passchiers on 3 times. I had the Passchiers on before she was even a Passchier.
True.
She was still a Crable, I think.
Yeah, she was.
All right, Josh, one final question is there any question I did not ask that you wish I would have, or is there any final direct message you want to leave with that one Bamboo Pack member out there who's struggling?
Just take the step. Take the step to start doing what you really want to do. And it doesn't have to be like an immediate all in, but every day do something that gets you one step closer. And it could be so simple as just reading a damn book, reading 10 pages, right? Or looking something up, but do something every day that gets you one step closer, but also you should almost do something every day that scares the shit out of you.
I love that one. Do something every day that scares the shit out of you. And you know what, honestly, and I don't want to wrap up on that because there's so much around this. Let's keep going for just a second here if we could. Sure. We're doing this thing right now. I'm working with my clients, Josh, on called voluntary adversity. And I did a podcast on it, I don't know, a few weeks ago, but I aired it this week. Just a single me talking. And I did a talk to a group in Michigan State, in Lansing, Michigan last Thursday on voluntary adversity. And the concept is voluntary adversity is something, in my opinion, something that scares the shit out of you. So it takes you out of your comfort zone. That's the first part of the definition. Mm-hmm. Number two, it has to be something that's positive for you or someone else. It can't be, hey, I'm going to go try heroin, because that is something that would take you out of your comfort zone, but it's not a real positive thing. It's got to be something that betters you or someone else, and it's got to be voluntary. It can't be mandated. And it can be as simple as don't hit your snooze button in the morning. It can be as simple as get up and do 5 push-ups if you haven't done a push-up in 3 years. It can be, like you said, it can be sit down and read rather than watching Netflix or scrolling through YouTube. It's just something that takes you out of your comfort zone, and that's how people become happy. It
could be walking into the gym.
It could be walking into the gym.
It could be walking into a therapist if we need to do that. It could be walking into a restaurant that you've always wanted to go to, but you're by yourself.
Yep. It could be asking someone on a date, raising your hand in a meeting or a class, challenging a little bit
100%.
of authority. Anything. Just if it makes you uncomfortable, it's positive, do it. I mean, it scares the shit out of people, doesn't it?
I remember, that brings it up. It scared the shit out of me when Brooke and I met on a dating app. And so I remember we were chatting so well. I think after like the second day, I was like, forget it. I'm going to ask her out because I don't want to, a lot of the stuff we're finding out on the dating app, I want to save for the first date. Right.
Right.
So it was like 10 o'clock. I asked her out. It was only the second day that we were chatting. So I asked her out. No response. I got nothing. Scared the shit out of me. And then, of course, the next day at like 10 o'clock in the morning, she responded and was like, oh, sure. I'd be happy to. I just went to bed. And I'm like, oh, it killed me. I had to go to bed and go, oh, I guess she wasn't ready for that one. But
those dating apps are crazy, man. I had never had success on them, and I've tried them. I went on 2 dates 20 years ago after my divorce. I shouldn't say I met 2 women and we dated for a couple of months each. I just didn't feel the connection. They were both great women. Right. So I just never found it. Like I was on them. But then that's how Jackie and I met. And it was always you match and you say, hey, great to match with you here. Hope you're having a great day. That was my standard thing. And so finally, when she put on there on her profile, said, if you ride a motorcycle, if you smoke cigarettes, and if you have a long beard, like, I'm not interested or something like that. So I just said, So I just I reached out to her and I said, we matched. And I said, hey, I'd love to pick you up on my motorcycle. I'd love to, or something like, I saved the words because I said, I'd love to take you for a ride on my motorcycle with my cigarette dangling from my face or my mouth and my long beard blowing in the wind behind you or in your face. And I just left it at that. And she said, she read that. She's like, is this guy serious? And then finally she figured that was a joke and then she responded. I'm like, okay, I cracked the code. I should have started with that all along, but I'm glad I didn't because I found a great one. So I'm glad I didn't crack the code.
I would have gone and picked Brooke up on my motorcycle because I do have one. We've gone on some dates, but I remember our first date, she was 30 minutes late. And I was like, oh my, and it was so funny because the waitress, we were meeting at a restaurant in Grand Rapids. I got there, on time. What's funny about this, real quick story, no, stop. But as I was walking to the restaurant, I passed a kind of homeless shelter, and there was oddly enough, there was probably about 8 guys standing there, right? And so they start talking to me, and I have no problem. So I'm just chatting with them, and one of the guys is like, "Man, you're all dressed to the nines, brother. Where are you going? What's going on?" And I told him the story. We got a first date, and the guy was like, "Hey, that's awesome, man. Tell us how it goes when you're done." And I go, "Oh, are you guys still going to be here?" The guy looked at me. He's like, "Where do you think you're going, buddy?" Right. I was like, "Oh, touche. Okay, all right, sure enough." Well, I go into the restaurant, sit down, Mexican restaurant, so I order a margarita. And luckily Brooke does text. She's like, hey, I'm running a little bit late. I'll be right there, but I am coming. I was like, cool. Finished number 1 margarita. The waitress comes around. What do you want? I'm like, well, I guess she's still coming, so I'll take another margarita. That margarita goes down pretty easy. Brooke's still texting. The lady comes. She's like, you want your check? And I'm like, oh, no, she's coming. Can I have another margarita, though, please? And so 3 margaritas in, she finally does show up. And I remember Brooke sat down, I'm like, hey, nice to meet you. We chat. And the waitress comes over. She's like, oh, we really didn't think you were coming. And Brooke just really quick wit with, oh, I'm not his date. I'm just his friend he called up. So he didn't want to look like he was waiting for somebody. And I was like, oh. And then the last story, we chatted for hours at that place, shut it down. So we're walking back, and sure enough, I'm walking her to her car, and we passed the group of guys. And I still remember to this day, they're like, hey, how'd the date go? Oh, is this your date? Oh, man, she's beautiful. This is awesome. And one of the guys is like, we've known this guy forever. He's a great guy. You found a good one. And I'm like, I just looked at that guy, gave him a look, and I was like, oh, that's awesome. I loved it. It was so fun.
Well, when she shows up when you have 3 drinks in and you get endorsed by the homeless men, she's got to love you at that point.
Oh, yeah.
You're not beating that story.
There's something there. No,
dude, that's a baller move. Having 3 margaritas on a first date before she arrived, that's a baller move, man.
I had to calm my nerves and everything.
I'd have been sitting on the floor by the time she got there, bumbling. And I would have been the guy in the fetal position in the corner crying.
Right? Oh, it was there. It was good. I had a good meal, some tacos that kind of helped take the edge off.
What restaurant you guys go to?
We went to Luna.
Where is that?
Downtown Grand Rapids.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah, right downtown.
All right, Josh, before we hang up, I have one more question. This is one that I've only asked once but we've talked about fear. So I'm going to ask you a question. Let's say that I have a magic wand, and right now I can wave it through the microphone, and it can sprinkle the little magic dust through the microphone into you, and you could, for that magic would eliminate all of your irrational fears for the next 7 days. You'd have no irrational fears, nothing. If that were the case, what would you do differently this week?
No irrational fears.
They're all gone.
No irrational fears. I would reach out to the guys that I've known and haven't because of fear. I would reach out to them. I would. Oh, that's such a good question. If I had no fear, I would just put it out there. I would go on social media, scream at the top of my lungs what Brooke and I.
Did I lose you? I might have lost you. Oh, there you're back. I hear you. So the second one, would you get on social media and scream out to the top of your lungs what you and Brooke are working on?
Yep, I would say we would start that podcast.
All right. Well, now you've got some marching orders.
Yeah, exactly. Here we go. I love it.
So when I have you on the podcast next, you'll say, yeah, I did all those things that week. I think the podcast is a great idea. I think what you guys are doing is amazing, and I just thank you because it's necessary for the people. It's necessary for men. It's necessary. Your Uncaged Brotherhood and what you and Brooke are doing together with Uncaged Potential Coaching is powerful stuff. Keep it going, brother. The world needs you.
Love it, man. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Josh. We'll have you on again soon. Stay on for just a minute after. Okay. I'd love to talk to you after we're done recording, please.
Sounds good. All
right. Everyone, please look on the bottom of the show notes and check out the links that were included here for Uncaged Potential Coaching as well as Uncaged Brotherhood. Check out what they're doing. I'll include any links I can to social media, just so you can get more information from Josh and from Brooke in their endeavors. It's good stuff. It's actually great stuff. And I can honestly attest to that, or I wouldn't have had them both on the show 3 times now between the two of them. I want to take this time to thank all of you for for tuning in again this week. Please hit that like button. Please rate and review us, good or bad. And please share this episode with 3 people you love and care for. This would be a great one for some men out there that you just share with some of your brothers. I'll talk to you all in a week. In the meantime, get out there and strive to give and be your best. Please show love and respect to others, but go back and share it with yourself as well. And please live purposely. I appreciate each and every single one of you.